What about, what are the prospects for such alternatives like biofuel?
Absolutely. I think that the package of prospects justify the creation of an alternative development emphasis. We're talking about biofuels, we're talking about solar energy, we're talking about separation of membranes for desalination, which is not technically a difficult task, but unfortunately the buyer and the seller prefer to keep that cost of the purchase of equipment as it is for purely commercial reasons. But more importantly, I think this energy region should also be talking about LEU, light enriched uranium, which cannot be militarized, as opposed to HEU, a heavy enriched, high enriched uranium. And in the case of Kazakhstan, I'm happy to see that the US Department of Energy has negotiated with the government of Kazakhstan a new package where their HEU reactor will turn to LEU. We have the dawning of an agreement with North Korea. I'm hoping that the term nuclearization, when it's used vis-à-vis Iran or North Korea, can mean clean energy and can be distinctly understood in the minds of the general public that if you're looking for energy, this is the way to go.
I hope so. You are here in Islamabad to chair a seminar on a process for cooperation and security. Can you elaborate about that? And excuse my ignorance, what is the WANA concept?
The West Asia North Africa, WANA, is the new terminology that the government of India employs, for example, in describing this region. Iran is an Asian power. Iraq is not a power, but also in Asia. And according to the United Nations, I am an Asian. If we look at this region, it is a region that includes the energy ellipse from the Caspian to Hormuz, and the water and energy spine of the region is the Great African Rift Valley, which actually starts in Africa and terminates in Anatolia and Turkey, including Lake Victoria, including the huge wealth of the potential of the Tigris, the Euphrates, of course, the energy potential of the region. I mentioned Lake Victoria, although on the border of the region, more hydroelectric power than the whole of East Africa would need. So we are proposing supranational concepts here. The huge force presence in the region could be used as leverage for a regional conference for security and cooperation, a regional security pact, a regional charter for stability, and a cohesion fund, as with the Southeast European countries, to address the questions of the poor, not to leave the poor to the militants.
To be inclusive.
Well, it's all about inclusion and exclusion, and I think that the cutoff today between governments and people is an issue that has to be addressed, and I'm happy that the Helsinki process is participating with us in this meeting. The Nordic Council, we met in Copenhagen with 5 Nordic parliaments, 3 Scandinavian, 2 Baltic. And we're developing with them a language of coexistence, and we're very grateful to the Sasakawa Foundation for having provided its support in a continuation of Voices from Asia, which started, as you recall, with the Human Development Group in Southeast Asia, then South Asia. Maybe West Asia will be a more effective focus than speaking about Middle East, North Africa, or about the greater Middle East from Marrakesh to Bangladesh, which of course is the poorest, most populous and the most dangerous region in the world.
Let's veer a little bit from environment and talk about a more serious problem, if not equally, which is religion. There is so much suspicion between the major religions of the world right now. At one point, you even mentioned the dangerous rise of Islamophobia in the West.
Well, I was one of the people who contributed to that coinage of Islamophobia. You have Semiticophobia, so we said Islamophobia at the Human Rights Preparatory Meeting for the Asian region, the West Asian region in Tehran a few years ago, before we went to Johannesburg. And of course you have xenophobia, and you have all the anti-discrimination legislation in the world. But nobody is actually working for something. It's always working against discrimination of one kind or another. So I think that the time has come to recognize that we can work for an encounter of religions. That is to say, if we're talking about Islam, if we're talking about Christianity, if we're talking about the fountains of the sources of wisdom in Asia, Buddhism, Confucianism, we all share the same values. But if we're talking about politicized movements that call for willful killing of innocents, then I think that we are seeing a polarity of hatred which is very difficult to cope with. On the one side you have President Najad of Iran talking about the arrival of the Mahdi, the savior, to save Muslims from their enemies. And on the other side, sadly, you have the evangelist messianic school in the United States who are also talking about the end of days and fields of blood in Armageddon. And between these two extremes, I asked myself, what is left for humanity, let alone for religion? I know of no religion that calls for willful killing, no religion that calls for breaking the golden rule. And I think the time has come now to emphasize the importance of human dignity, and in that context to end the deregulation of religion, as I call it, or the privatization of religion.
To end the privatization of religion?
Yes, because I think that the bin Ladens of this world are privatizing religion in the absence of a moral authority, a consultative moral authority in Mecca. With all due respect to any one of these new cults or new schools, they are not more important than the Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanafi and Hanbali schools in Mecca. The Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah should be meeting on a regular basis with their counterparts of the Imami and Zaydi Shia schools, the Abadi school, and indeed the Ahl al-Zahir. I mean, if we could meet with 100 Muslims, sending through Islamica, recently published the response to the Regensburg address of His Holiness the Pope, a reasoned humanitarian answer, why are we not meeting on 365 days of the year to address everything in Mecca, from stem cell research to GWAT, the Global War on Terror? Why is there no consultation? Why is there no moral authority? Why have we lost the legitimacy of consultation? And I think this has to happen. It's not just a one-off meeting to discuss patching up differences between Palestinian factions. That is politics. What we need is a moral authority that rises above politics.